Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
All right, 11:02, what's going on, Lock Shoppers? Thank you very much for being here. It is Dustin Nielson with you. Huss is going to be by shortly. Tomorrow, Pete Greggy's going to join us. We're going to start talking some golf betting again. That's always exciting. We'll take a look here. I haven't looked at it this morning. I know there's some new NFL odds that are up. The EST parlay is already live for the game tonight. The Oilers and the Boston Bruins. Will dive deeper into that game a little bit here on the Lock Shop, but definitely on two guys and a goalie today with myself, Cass, and Gager. If you're watching over on YouTube today, hammer the thumbs up for us. That would be great. And if you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, we just politely ask that you tell your friends about what we're doing at EST. And remember that you can text us at 780-218-9999. The Edmonton Sports Talk Parlay. Oh, look, we have our own tab now, the Sports Talk Parlays. That would be where the WST Parlay ends up as well, probably. Leon Draisaitl, 2 points. Bouchard, a point. And the Oilers to win tonight, plus 315. Draisaitl obviously having a absolutely remarkable season for the Edmonton Oilers. I did want to look here and see what we have, if any, line move. We do have line movement. Excellent. We'll get into that with Huss. The Vikings and Rams have opened back up. Vikings are minus 1.5 point favorites on the road now. That was 2.5 when I saw it about a day ago. Commanders and Bucks are still at 3. Packers and Eagles are at 4.5. The Bills minus 8.5 now. That was 9. And the Ravens and Steelers had briefly moved to 10. It's back to 9.5. Chargers and Texans still locked in at 3. So, you know what? We'll get there because we do have a slate in the National Hockey League that we'll get to. So we'll stick here on the NFL. Let's bring in Huss. Winnipeg Sports Talk is where you can find him every day at noon Edmonton time, 1 o'clock Winnipeg time. Huss, I got to know before we get to this NFL movement, there's been a little bit of it. Did you watch Raw on Netflix last night? Oh, you're muted, Huss. Is that us or is that Huss?
No, that's me. I got to know before we talk about anything, how was breakfast?
Oh, man. Have you ever had pickled herring?
No.
Oh, my God. Well, I save you the time. Don't worry about it. It's absolutely ridiculous.
The visuals were absolutely incredible.
I almost puked. I was this close to puking. Yeah. I don't know if I could have done it without holding my nose. Like, Trev, you're here. You smelled that, right? Like, you said it was absolutely horrendous. Your mic's not on. I don't know what. There we go.
I like fish a lot, and I couldn't stomach
you
that.
like fish, and you couldn't handle the smell.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
It was cold. It stunk.
Well, Reed Wilkins, who's a little bit more adventurous than me, we were sitting here talking this morning because I guess Glue Guy had it open on their show yesterday afternoon, and he was eating it, and Reed's like, I couldn't eat it. It goes, the smell of it was too gross. Like, that's how. So I got through it. Now, it was a whole controversy this morning because I said I'd eat it if we got to 11,000 subs by the end of Christmas Day. We are over 11,000 subs now. Trev did confirm today that it didn't happen until shortly after the end of Christmas Day. But then other people pointed out, well, Dusty, you didn't technically say Christmas 2025. There's other Christmases from other religions and things that are still being celebrated. So I sucked it up and I ate a piece of herring. And I will never do it again. I promise you that. I will never have another piece of that in my life.
I give you a hard time about having the palate of a 5 or 6 year old. However, this does not fall into that category. It was a bold move, Dustin. It was a very, very bold move. But yes, back to your question. Wrestling, the debut of Raw, Netflix last night. It was a big time show they put on last night. I will admit, I had gone up until January 6th of 2025 without being a Netflix customer. And now I am. So
that's what brought you in, hey?
Money well spent for Netflix, I guess. They're the last few holdouts. They got us.
Wow, mission accomplished then, I guess, for them.
Although, to be honest, I was looking at it. The Netflix sub is $6 a month. I think the WWE Network, if you got it through your cable, which I just had, I'm sure there was other ways to get it, was like twice as much on that. So
you're saving money.
In this economy, that's a great thing to have for the people. And I will admit, I didn't watch the entire thing, but I certainly watched the first hour or so. they had quite the list of celebs out at it as well. I mean, with it being in LA and with it being a Netflix event, maybe my favorite thing of all of last night was Kay Adams, who is, I mean, for many football guys, she's the queen, right? I mean, all that time on NFL
she's the
Network.
dream girl. Let's be honest. I mean,
yeah, she's got it all. So she was going for the first time, and she sort of live tweeted throughout, like was asking, "Oh, what should I expect? Who should I cheer for?" The Undertaker rolled out in a motorcycle, and she had good seats, and she just said, "So, who is this fellow?" or something like that. So it was awesome.
Undertaker came out too.
Yeah, Undertaker came out on a bike at some point.
I missed that.
I didn't get to that point.
I watched. I put the kids to bed. I sat down. I was like, you know what? I want to check out how they brought it in. So I went back and watched basically up until The Rock was done. What did you think about, like, I totally this morning, we were talking about this morning. I have not watched wrestling since The Rock was in it. So The Rock is still cool to me. I thought they'd moved past The Rock being the guy who sort of launched them into Netflix. But what did you think of the beginning of The Rock being the guy who basically went up and was like, thanks to Netflix, thanks to these guys.
Yeah.
Like, what did you think of that? I don't know. It seemed clunky almost to me a bit.
Well, I don't know. I didn't take it that way. Just is The Rock is such a massive, and I mean, keep in mind, this is the first time that a lot of Netflix people are seeing this. They're like, oh, this is on. What is this?
Yeah,
like
I mean, for some people, yeah.
Or whatever. So they might not have any idea who Roman Reigns is, who had been the champ for 4 years or whatever. And I mean, frankly, everybody else, they'll know The Rock.
Yeah.
And so his star power, I think, made a lot of sense for him to be the guy that sort of really, really kicked things off. And then the other thing is, and this goes back to WrestleMania last year, I mean, he was supposed to be going up against Roman Reigns, and then they kind of swerved on it because all the fans were whining. They wanted Cody to win, and that had been put off the year before. Long story. But it was interesting. They had that big tribal combat match at the start, and the Bloodline, which was sort of Roman Reigns thing, the Usos, and then it split off to Solo, the guy he was going against. It's been one of the great storylines in wrestling history, to be honest, and it's been going now in different forms for the better part of the last 3 years or so. Now, The Rock is family with these guys. So I think that business of Roman winning and Rock coming in and putting the thing around his neck is in some ways a precursor to either them being together, or I think what I expect is they'll get back to the plan for last year, and that was for The Rock to be going up against Roman Reigns. Of course, Cena came back. Cena's on his farewell tour right now, which is going to go from right now, basically, I think, through WrestleMania. And he's got a chance to win the belt one more time and be the all-time most decorated champion ever. So they've got a lot going on. It is amazing. I mean, when you think about the AEW starting a few years ago and how they were really pushing the WWE, that level of competition, I think, sparked and forced WWE to just go completely next level, and they're running like they never have before. I'm fascinated, though, just from a kind of a quote unquote sports media standpoint, how this goes. I mean, you know, like Raw, like it or not, wrestling, Raw was the longest live television show in TV history.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
For like 25 straight Mondays, live programming every single week for forever. So now the fact that this is delivered on Netflix and it'll start at a particular time, but like anything, you can watch it whenever you want. I do kind of wonder about the timeliness of it. But again, all of these streaming services, a lot like what Amazon is doing with the hockey, they're trying to get things that kind of are time sensitive. And as we see right now with the demolition of television, basically, the only thing that really draws people in
live sports
on TV is live sports and live entertainment, if you will.
Yeah.
Where there is something to it. So, I mean, other than that, in news services, I mean, most of the TV we grew up with, sitcoms and television shows, have all moved over to these streaming services, and people watch a whole season in 2 days and then they wait another year for it to come back if it's done.
This was a question that we were asked on our show this morning. Which of the 4 major leagues in North America goes exclusively streaming, and does it happen in the next 5 years? What do you think, Huss?
Exclusively streaming?
Yeah. I don't know if anybody will go exclusively streaming. Like, these television networks, like you just said, they need these live sports. Like, the money will have to be there for them, right? Like, they'll have to pay it.
Okay, I'll answer it this way. I think the most likely answer to that, by the way, MLS, for what it's worth.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Is Apple TV, and that was a 20-year deal or whatever done a year or so ago. So they have been there, and they have been in that case. I think the most likely thing to happen first is that you'll see Major League Baseball teams sell their local rights to a streamer within their area. Because we've seen like all the Bali Sports and I guess they're now
FanDuel
things
network,
have changed so much. It was Fox Sports North, and then it was Bali, and then there's some other company on it right now. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's just been splintered, and they're basically like I would watch a lot of the Fox Sports North out of the Twin Cities. We would have sometimes access to that, and like now, if you watch it, they'll have their wild content. And then they've got some other things that they've done that they just basically play around it. But it's not like it's a station and they're broadcasting with new content or anything. You just can't afford it. The NFL is the one jewel, of course, of sports broadcasting.
Uh-oh. I think Huss froze. Hey, Trev. Huss froze. Let's see if he can reconnect. That's the first time he's frozen in a long time. And it's not our stream. That's just Huss. We'll get him back in. He was going to say, I think, what I said this morning on this conversation. And it's an interesting one. The National Football League can do whatever it wants. Right? Like, I'm not sure you can say that about the NBA. I know you can't say that about the NHL. And I don't think Major League Baseball is in that spot right now either. Huss is probably still talking to himself because I guarantee he's still going on. And then when I don't give him a response, he'll reconnect. I think he makes a good point with Major League Baseball local deals. But then how does that work? So the local deal would be available on Netflix just in your area, I guess. I mean, with geolocking and things, I guess you could do that. So maybe that would be the play there. 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. I'm going to text Huss and just tell him he froze. He's probably still talking. That used to happen all the time when we were in my basement. Big Uke says, big TV taking down Huss. Cowboy says if streaming pays for it, it will happen. And look, these leagues are going to go where the money is. But I look at it from the other side and simply say, like, how can ESPN, how can TNT not afford to pay those dollars to keep these teams? Like, Sportsnet and TSN are just going to lose all NHL hockey games to Prime? Why would people watch these networks then? Now, I know TSN doesn't have the national games, but they've got regional deals in Winnipeg. They've got a regional deal in Montreal. They got a regional deal in Ottawa, and they split the Leafs regional deal. So, I mean, those are big drivers for these companies. You have to find a way to at least keep a chunk of it, I would think. But it's a fascinating time. I mean, we're doing it at a much, 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 much smaller local level here, where we're not on, terrestrial radio or television, but you can watch us on your TV and you can listen to us in your car. So it's different, but I also think there'll be a lot of other markets that are heading in the same direction that we are already in over the next few years. And I'm sure some of these leagues will look to take some of that money from streaming services. And I think it'll probably be approached like the next NHL deal, the next national NHL deal, I would think probably goes. Huss is restarting. He's going to restart his computer. I think the next NHL deal probably goes. Sportsnet has Saturdays. Amazon Prime has their Monday nights. TSN takes back Wednesday night hockey from a national perspective. And you kind of go from there, I would think. But it's going to be a very interesting time. Like, we'll be sitting here in 5 years, and who knows? I mean, maybe there's something that's not even out there from a technology standpoint right now that is starting in 5 years to take over. And we're like, oh, man, this is where everything's going to end up. This is what we're going to be doing. Major League Baseball has a team on the moon. And Gary Bettman has not only gone back to Arizona, he's added 2 teams in Arizona just to prove a point. So that could be something that you would look at as well. 780-218-9999. Bronco Nick chimes in. Says the infrastructure needed is huge to go solely streaming. Who would do it here? Sportsnet? Like, Huss, let's bring Huss back in. Huss, I believe you were saying, first of all, how long did you talk without knowing you'd froze?
Probably a minute for sure.
Yeah, I said to Trev, I said, I guarantee Huss is still talking.
Like, Dusty's really focused on what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
He's really locked in on this.
Yeah, I was locked in. But I think you were going where I was going in that the NFL can do whatever it wants, right? Like the NFL, people will follow the NFL where they will not, like people will go with them. Like they would be the one that could probably do it, but.
The NFL has set the blueprint for everybody else that your best bet is to not give it all to one. It's to have them bid against each other and to get pieces of it. Much like they've done with television, they're now doing with streaming. Like ABC's got a piece, NBC's got a piece, ESPN is on it, Netflix, Amazon.
Yeah, everybody.
Peacock. Like everyone is in it. And just all that competition rises it up. So so being exclusive to a streamer or even streaming in general, I don't think that happens. But I think everyone else is looking, and the NHL is a perfect example of this. Like they've seen what the NFL's been doing. They were in this 12-year deal with Sportsnet, and I think the NHL sort of helped broker that deal for Sportsnet to get out of the Monday night package.
Yeah, they were looking to do that.
Amazon.
Yeah.
And listen, Amazon's been doing a great job of the games. I think the reaction's been really positive. I would suggest that they're doing a better job. They're adding more to it than the traditional hockey broadcasts, especially as the television companies, from where they were when they got the deal, for instance, in Sportsnet's case, has just continually cut people, cut production staff, cut everything to the point where they're going one way and the streamers are going the other.
I'm very interested to see where it's at 5 to 10 years from now. I think it'll be hopefully in the end it benefits sports fans. You know, that's what you want to see. And it's going to benefit all the leagues financially, but hopefully it becomes a simple viewing experience still.
It'll
for
benefit the leagues financially in some ways, but that's the only real way that they can go, because we have long since passed the high watermark, I think, of television rights, in that the advertising rates with everything outside of the NFL, I think that we're seeing the law of diminishing returns on what you can squeeze out of the TV market, especially as the TV market shrinks. But the streaming market continues to grow. And right now we're seeing, in some ways, this is like a new frontier version of the old battles of network television between ABC and CBS and NBC. They were all putting their own shows out and who would be first at one point. Now you've got it in a different format. But again, it is all about the content and what content people want to buy. They've got lots of options. So Netflix is a perfect example for someone like me. I wasn't really big into the movies and the streaming and stuff like that, so I never really had a need to get it. But now something that I do kind of like to watch regularly or pay attention to, and then with the big events, if it's all in one place, bang, I'm in. So there will be a lot of hockey fans, and I'm sure there's probably hockey fans that have jumped on Amazon this year for the first time that hadn't done it before.
You know what? That's interesting. I already had Amazon, so I was just like, oh, it's there now. I wonder what the numbers were like.
Yeah.
On viewers with Amazon buying
It'd be
it just for the
fascinating
NHL.
to find out how many people like me are out there. Like, what sort of a bump Netflix got.
Well, it's interesting. I'm sure the Netflix so it's all WWE content's there now, right? It's not just Raw. It's everything.
All of it.
All their old shows too.
NXT and like WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble.
Well, that's why I'm looking at it so differently. Like on Monday nights, I mean, there's still a lot of other hockey you consume in other places, right? If you're a wrestling fan, you got to have Netflix. Simple as that, right? So the bump should have been significant for sure. Hey, one more quickly on the wrestling, and then we'll get busy NHL slate and some line movement in the NFL. And I want to talk to you about the TGL golf that's going down tonight. That'll be on Sportsnet 360 with the virtual stuff getting going. What about Hulk Hogan? Was that necessary? What was going on there last night with Hulk Hogan coming back?
Oh, Hogan got booed well, I guess they just thought that, because this is this new era of WWE, they were going to bring out, so many people that, someone like you that hadn't watched in the last 10, 15 years regularly. Yeah. Well, The Rock, The Undertaker, Hulk. Hogan, though, through a number of things, kind of, there was the Bubba the Love Sponge thing, and then there were those tapes, and, he's been, not that everyone, but I mean, I know he's been a big Trump guy before. Like, there was just some things that are polarizing about him. But I think amongst a lot of wrestling fans, they were sort of done with Hogan before. So he, of everyone that came out, he was the one guy that got a fair share of heel heat, as they say in business.
That was good because you could tell it wasn't even like part of the shtick. It was just like nobody likes Hulk Hogan as a person anymore. And they're just like, oh my God, what has happened here? So, all right. I think that covers everything there. Good conversation on the streaming. And this is something we'll certainly keep tabs on moving forward. National Football League. I know the boys said a few things that we can get to there. Huss, just quickly, a couple of lines move. Steelers-Ravens goes back to where it was. It was at 9.5. It popped down to 10 yesterday, back to 9.5. Oh, Buffalo-Denver just moved again because that was 8.5 25 minutes ago. It's back to 9. And then the other three games, Eagles-Packers still 4.5. Commanders-Bucks still 3. Vikings-Rams is interesting because that was 2.5 like 2 days ago, and then it was down during Lock Shop yesterday, and it's back up now. The Vikings are just 1.5 point favorites. Thoughts on where that number comes in inside 2 in the closest game of the week?
Well, that one might take a little longer to move once we get to, because the Vikings, I think we're off yesterday. Both these teams will come practice. We'll get some more, injury updates. It's the early games that I think we're going to see. I don't think the Chargers are going to come below 3. I don't see there being a lot of public or sharp support for the Texans, to be quite honest, despite them being at home right now. And I know that was 2.5, but that's 3, and I think that'll probably stay there. The Steeler game is what are you seeing right now? You're seeing -10 at -114?
No. Right before we brought you on, it was at 9. It was at 10. Now I'm seeing it at 9.5 at -112.
9.5 at -112. Oh, for the Ravens. Yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking Steelers. Yeah, plus 9.5.
Yeah, plus 9.5, -104. Yeah.
And if you want the 10, it's -114 for the Steelers. I'm not surprised that line is going to maybe dent down a little bit. By the time we get to the weekend, it could be back to, double digits and closer, because I think there'll be a lot of public money just kind of coming in last minute. We're just taking the Ravens. But I still think about this game. I mean, the Steelers won the first game. And if you recall, in the second game between the Steelers and the Ravens a few weeks ago, which was during the Steelers losing streak, like Russell Wilson was going in for a touchdown and got that ball knocked out from him on like the 2-yard line. And that sort of completely flipped the game. in a lot of ways, it reminded me of the play in the AFC Championship last year. Ravens Chiefs. Remember when Zay Flowers was going in for what looked like a touchdown and L'Jarius Sneed punched the ball out on the 1 yard line and the Chiefs got that and never looked back? Like one simple turnover can change. Listen, if you look at the history of Mike Tomlin against the Ravens and the Steelers against the Ravens, these teams play close games almost every single time out. And I know people are off Pittsburgh, but again, I will remind you, their last month was the Eagles, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and then the Bengals with their playoff on the line. Like, I'm not suggesting the Steelers are going to go in there and win this game, but I do think we should be careful before you completely write this team off, at least in this game, and start laying double-digit points on the Ravens, who have a very ugly record just straight up against Pittsburgh in the Lamar Jackson era.
Yeah, he's only beat them once. That was their last meeting, but it was the only time he beat them.
I'm looking forward to this game, and I think out of principle, I'll be taking Pittsburgh plus 10 for that one. As far as the other ones, I was a little surprised last night. I saw that the Packer-Eagle game had gone down to 4 for a little bit, but it's back to 4.5. And, we're expecting – or wait, today's Tuesday?
Yeah.
They said Jalen Hurts is expected to return to practice tomorrow, but he's still not out of the concussion protocol. I guarantee if something comes up tomorrow where we find out that Jalen Hurts is still not cleared and not able to practice, he's been out for 2 weeks, that number, let me just ask you right now, let's just say Jalen Hurts was out and Kenny Pickett's the starting quarterback for the Eagles. How much does that line change?
Oh, man.
The Packers are probably favored.
I was going to sit here and go, I don't know how I could make the Eagles a favorite with Kenny Pickett at quarterback. So, I mean, the Packers are probably a slight favorite on the road. Yeah. I bet you it moves that line 5.5 to 6 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's not many players in the league that would do that. I mean, a Mahomes, an Allen, a Lamar, like they'll move lines at this point of the season, probably a touchdown. But we're not far off with that with Hurts, even though I wouldn't put Hurts in that same category as the rest of those guys. But it'll be interesting. And now listen, Christian Watson's out for the year. He might miss part of next year too. Did you see that? Like total non-contact injury, tore his ACL.
Those are always the worst, man. I hate.
He's been
those.
A bit of a Band-Aid in the past, though, unfortunately for him. So he, it's the best ability is availability in the National Football League, and he will not be available. So the rest of that receiving core is going to need to step up. I haven't really seen anything move on this Commanders-Buccaneers game. That'll be a game that'll get a lot of action, but not until later on, not till people lose bets or whatever on the first 4 games. And then they've got that Sunday night game going in. And then what we should take a look at right now in the NFL futures. They have added the exact Super Bowl outcome, the exact Super Bowl matchup, and the Super Bowl MVP. And how about this? The Super Bowl MVP, in a lot of ways, is betting the quarterback of the team you think that's going to win the whole thing. Mahomes, 5-1. Josh Allen, 5-1. Jared Goff, 5-1. And Lamar Jackson, plus 850. It in some way, now I would say for the Chiefs, if you think the Chiefs are going to win, I have a hard time imagining the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl and Mahomes not being the MVP. You can get the Chiefs at plus 330 to win the Super Bowl. You can get Mahomes at 5-1. That makes a lot of sense. If you're a Chiefs guy, I would put something on Mahomes. Same thing with the Bills. But the Bills are plus 575 to win the Super Bowl. So, I mean, Josh Allen's not winning the MVP if they don't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So you're better off, I think, in that case, to bet the Bills at plus 575 to win the whole thing. Jared Goff, 5-1. Detroit's plus 315. He's a little different than Mahomes. I mean, if you watched the game against Minnesota last week.
Well, I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is 18-1. I think he's got the 5th best odds to be Super Bowl MVP. Like, he's right up there. Right?
That might have gone down. That might have gone down.
So,
but he's the one
that's different.
non-quarterback of that group. Now, Barkley's 18-1. Hurts is 15-1, and they're very close on that. But to me, the angle on this, if you want to bet it now, if you're a Chiefs guy, I think you ride with Mahomes at 5-1, considering where their Super Bowl odds are. If you're a Bills guy and you think the Bills are going to win it, I think you're better off putting your money on the Bills at plus 575 to win the Super Bowl. And Jared Goff. Now, Lamar is plus 850, and the Ravens are 6-1. So I think this the Lamar number is kind of more like Mahomes. If you think Baltimore is going to win the Super Bowl and you'd rather take Lamar to win the MVP at plus 850, put it this way. If you say you were betting $100 and you were planning on, I think Baltimore's winning the Super Bowl, I would split that between your Super Bowl bet and Lamar to win the MVP. Whereas if you were going to put 100 on the Bills to win the Super Bowl, I think you're better off just putting the whole thing on the team to win, because the quarterback's MVP number is less than the team to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that'd be another way to look at it too.
What do we got here for our lock shop bowl here? Exact Super Bowl matchup. Kansas City Chiefs versus Detroit Lions, plus 475. Has to happen.
Plus
We've willed this
475.
into existence all season long.
2 number 1 seeds.
Maybe there'll even be a before you bet that, we'll see. Maybe they'll do a little boost, even up to 5-1 or something for the fellas, and all the lock shoppers can get on in for the lock shop bowl. But yes, anyways, back to these NFL futures. I always do love the exact matchup. The matchup is always fun. Ravens Lions is 7-1. The Bills Lions is 7-1. The Lions are certainly the team. Now, what if a team, the Packers Texans, 300-1? I don't think that's going to happen.
Don't like the odds.
No, I don't like the odds. The one that stands out is that the plus 475. You can get, let's see here. Oh, we won't spend too much time. Here are the Bills numbers. Bills Lions 7-1. Bills Pack 35-1. Bills Rams 50. Bills Vikings 25. Bills Eagles, the two seeds, 14-1. And the Bills and the Buccaneers. Where do we have Baltimore Ravens? Ravens 40-1 against the Packers, 50-1 against the Rams, 25-1 against the Vikings, 15-1 against the Eagles, 40-1 against Tampa. What about the Chiefs? What do we got here with the Chiefs? The Chiefs, okay, so 475 for the Lions. 23-1 against the Packers, 34 for the Rams, 18-1 for the Vikings and Chiefs. Oh, that would be amazing. Chiefs Eagles 10-1, rematch of a couple years ago. And Chiefs Tampa 25-1. Commanders 40-1. So right now, if you're kind of putting together your thoughts on this is who I think is going to win the AFC, this is who I'm going to win the NFC, go to Coolbet. Exact Super Bowl matchups are there. And if you want to go so far as to pick the actual outcome, you can do that as well. So let's just take these matchups for the Lions Chiefs and check it the other way. Detroit to beat Kansas City is plus 950. Kansas City to beat Detroit is 10-1. And that's basically it's plus 315 and plus 330. So a very small delineation that makes Detroit the slightest of favorites over Kansas City. So that's why you're looking at plus 950 as opposed to 10-1. And I'm just thinking, if you bet, say I'll just use just do the math here. Just use this same $100 example.
Okay.
You could put $100 on the Chiefs and Lions to meet in the Super Bowl at plus 475. So if you did that, you'll win $575. The other way of playing that would be $50 on the Chiefs to beat the Lions, which would pay you $550, or Detroit to beat Kansas City plus 525. I think actually you are okay. So in that scenario, you'd make $50 less if the Lions beat the Chiefs on the exact number, as opposed to playing the just 100 on the matchup. And you would make an extra, what did I say there was? Kansas City over Detroit. Plus 550 there. And then the 475. Well, maybe it does make more sense just to go with the exact Super Bowl matchup with the 575.
I love watching you work the math live along the way.
It's very close. I'm trying to get the computer going between the ears here, but I mean, you can just try it out right now. I mean, as I say, if I put in 100 on the 475 number, it pays you back plus 575. And then if you split it, the 50 on the 10-1 pays plus 550. And the 50 on the Detroit Lions pays you $525. So you are better off. You are better off taking doubling the bet on the matchup as opposed to splitting it between the two. But I guess just the point is that there's some different ways to play it. Yeah. And that'll be different depending on, you may look at the, say you like the Ravens-Eagles. But I would just suggest if you're dabbling with those, just put your bet in the total matchup, in the exact matchup, and then try splitting that bet and betting it even on both sides of the exact Super Bowl outcome, and then just compare it, and you'll have a better idea about if there's an angle on one side or the other that makes sense to bet it.
All right, let's get into the National Hockey League here, Huss. We got about 15 minutes left. I do want to dive into this tomorrow's golf league thing, not from so much a betting perspective, but a level of interest perspective.
We got a big game tonight, New York versus the Bay.
Exactly. So we're going to get into that. But a busy night in the National Hockey League. I hear starting goalies here, so let's dive into this, put together a little parlay here. EST parlay, as I mentioned, is already up. Draisaitl 2 points. Bouchard a point. Oilers money line tonight in Boston, plus 315 on the exclusives page over here at Coolbet. Alex Lyon will start for Detroit. Forsberg's unconfirmed for the Sens. Dallas and New York. Ottinger versus Jonathan Quick. Those are both confirmed. Vasilevsky and Kochekov both listed as likely. Big game between Carolina and Tampa there. Columbus and the Blue Jackets confirmed on both fronts. Merzlikins versus Tristan Jarry. Stuart Skinner will start for the Oilers. Jeremy Swayman is listed as likely for the Bruins. Fedotov will start for Philly. Joseph Wall likely for Toronto. Binnington versus Gustafsson, St. Louis and Minnesota. Hellebuck confirmed. UC Saros unconfirmed at this point for Nashville and Winnipeg. Dostal and Vladar unconfirmed in that Calgary-Anaheim game. And another late one, San Jose and Vegas. Aiden Hill and Georgiev unconfirmed in that one. So lots of options tonight, Huss. More than we had last night on this board. What's your top 2 or 3 plays?
Oh, well, I'm quite intrigued about this Ottawa-Detroit game. This is a game that is huge for both teams. Ottawa had that nice run. They're trying to get away right now. They're trying to get through it right now without their goaltending. I got to tell you, though, I was really impressed with what Detroit did here in Winnipeg on the weekend, and the way that they've turned it around since that first game of Todd McClellan. If you look, they lost that game to the Leafs, and then they pulled out 4 straight wins, including beating 2 of the top teams in the league, in the Capitals and the Jets. And if you look at where they are right now in the standings, I mean, they're still down there, but they're only 2 points back of Ottawa. Ottawa's lost 2 in a row, and Ottawa was in that playoff spot a week ago. So despite the fact that they're not even 500, it just tells you how mid the East is again this year. I mean, remember the snail's race for the for the 8th spot last year that Washington ended up getting? Well, that's happening again right now. The fact that Detroit is a home dog in this game. What were the starting goalies you said again?
In that game, Lyon is starting for Detroit, and I believe the other one was, I moved away from that page. I believe it was unconfirmed. Here, I got it.
Yeah, because they don't even have anyone.
Let's see here. Alex Lyon. Oh, no, Forsberg's confirmed. So Forsberg versus Alex Lyon in that game.
Oh, Anton Forsberg's going to be back? Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think I like Detroit in this game. And I love the number. Like, I don't think that they should be an underdog in this game. I don't know what your thoughts are on that one, but I mean, they've won 4 in a row. They were just here. They are like McClellan. This is the quintessential new coach bump. I mean, it's not some young guy. It's a veteran guy that's come in, and he is whipping his team into shape. And you should have seen them come out of the gate against Winnipeg. They had 17 shots in the first period. I think at one point the Jets had 2 or 3.
Really?
Yeah, they were all over. The Jets got it together and played better the rest of the game, but it wasn't enough. So anyways, I do take a hankering to Detroit in this one. Tampa has been in a big time slump. They just got swept in California. Ducks, Kings, Sharks, all losses. And before that, they lost at home to the Habs. Like, maybe this is what they need. A tough game against a division rival at home to get them together. But it's not too often you see Tampa as a home dog. They're plus 101. I do like the Leafs. The Leafs have been playing really good hockey as of late. Philly is sort of there. And then, I'll probably do a WST parlay for the Jets game, so maybe we'll keep that one out of it. Calgary and Anaheim. Anaheim's been playing well. That's another team that has been kind of on a real run as of late. And, even when they're losing, like they did to Edmonton last time, they're real competitive. But they won 4 of their last 5, and they beat the Lightning, Jets, Devils, and Oilers. And now they've got Calgary coming in. And Calgary, I don't know about you with Calgary, but I've sort of been waiting for the bottom to fall out on the Flames all year. And to them, they've been hanging in there. But when you look at sort of their last month and a half, it's a far cry from that great start to the season. Now, betting on the Ducks coming back from a road trip, I don't know whether that is totally safe. But as a plus money home underdog, or I guess this is their second game at home because they just beat Tampa. So the undervalued teams, I would say, are Anaheim and Detroit. And I do like Toronto. What else pops out to you?
Well, I like Toronto, and I'm with you on Detroit. I would be on board with those two. Toronto's owned Philly head-to-head as well. They've won 9 of the last 10 against Philadelphia. So they've done very well there. This is the second half of a home-and-home, I believe, in which Toronto beat Philly 3-2 2 days ago. But yeah, you said the Leafs have been playing very well. And they've won 4 in a row, back-to-backs against the Islanders. Then they beat Boston. Then they beat Philly. Now they get Philly again. So at minus 141, I like the number as well. So I'm with you on those two. You know me, I love my in-regulation plays. And you can get the Golden Knights in San Jose in regulation at minus 154 tonight. San Jose had lost 8 in a row. I think it was just 8 in a row. Might have been more. They've won their last 2. Vegas has won 8 of 10. They've basically been a wagon pretty much the entire season. So if we go Detroit at minus 101 and then Vegas in regulation at minus 154 and throw Toronto in there at minus 141, that throws us right in the old plus 461 wheelhouse. Which I'm fine with that. I was going to stay away from the Jackets and Penguins. Dallas and the Rangers. I like Dallas there, but I don't love them. I don't know. I like that. Are you scared of San Jose at all?
No.
But?
Just, I mean, maybe this is just more of the Blackhawks PTSD for how bad they are. I think like about half of their wins this year have been when we've been on them. Now, San Jose, let's just get the recent.
Vegas is also 9-1 in their last 10 against San Jose, which shouldn't surprise anybody. But
no,
Vegas 3-1 win, 5. I'm just looking like in their last 10. Their only 2 losses were to the red hot Montreal Canadiens and the Edmonton Oilers. Outside of that, they beat Minnie, they beat Vancouver, they beat Seattle, they beat Anaheim. They doubled up San Jose on December 27th, 6-3. They shut out Calgary, they beat Philly, they beat Buffalo. I mean, it hasn't been a tough schedule for them as of late, but this also isn't a tough opponent. So I love them in regulation. They've just been too good.
Yeah, Sharks are coming off back-to-back wins over Tampa and the Jersey Devils.
Yeah, but prior to that,
let's do it. Let's do it. I mean, we certainly can't just put it on the money line because it's such a low.
I like that Detroit play though, buddy. I'm 100% with you on Todd McClellan and what he's got going with that team right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if someone's just looking to bet a single bet or you got your $15 free bet from the weekend or something like that, Detroit basically at even money, -101, I think is a good one. But yeah, let's roll with that. Detroit money line, Leafs money line, Vegas and reg +461. I'm sure it'll be over 5-1 by the time
5-1 boost. Yeah,
Ebdog and the boys get their hands on it over at the Coolbet HQ.
All right, and then also tonight, and I think this will be on Sportsnet 360. Is tomorrow's golf league, which of course was fired up by Tiger and Rory. I think Tiger's, whatever were they, the Juniper somethings, they play tomorrow, I think. But anyway, do you know much about this, Huss? Because I've got everything you need to know that ESPN put out for this. It's got a couple of interesting notes I can throw out here for you.
Well, you know what? In fact, and I will shout out my guy, Pat Mayo. Mayo has been doing TGL team previews as part of his shows, like sort of like he'll do the show and then in the middle they'll do a little break and there's been, just some content that's been, I guess, who's got a deal to promote it or whatever. Is it tomorrow's golf league or is it Target Golf League?
I'm looking at this from ESPN right now. TGL stands for tomorrow's golf league.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to remind myself to PVR that because I'm going to be at the hockey game tonight, but I'm quite interested to see it.
Well,
the facility looks incredible. I don't know if you saw Jersey Jerry from Barstool. He was the guy that did that insane challenge last year where he was playing in a simulator until he finally hit a hole-in-one and a day later he got it. And so they had him out there last Monday, I guess. 12 hours of hitting at this thing to get the hole-in-one. It didn't happen, so they're going to restart it at some other time. But I did get a chance just with the videos in there to see this, and it looks cool. The players are going to be mic'd up. I mean, it'll be different than anything that we've seen before, but I think it's actually going to be pretty fun. And, I mean, you can bet on it. So
I'm really interested to see how they shoot it, for television. Like, how do they because by all accounts, the screen that they're going to be hitting into is like 20, 25 times bigger than your regular golf screen, right? So you can shoot from behind and almost make it look like they're out on the course if you want, technically, right? Like depending on how you line it up. But they're going to be shooting off of tee boxes, off of fairway surfaces, out of the rough, real rough, out of sand into this giant. So I'm actually... Let's see how it goes tonight, but I am more than intrigued. Like I definitely want to watch at least a good chunk of it tonight. I don't know how the hell you're going to bet this without seeing it yet, but
I will say this: huge fail though for them. How the hell are Tiger and Rory not in the first match?
But I only thought Tiger and Rory I thought they were the guys who were. That was it. I thought it was always just Tiger's team versus Rory's team. So when I saw it today, I was like, wait a second, Tiger's not playing tonight?
Here I'll just give you a quick run of the teams. Atlanta is JT, Cantlay, Billy Ho, and Lucas Glover. Rory's team is Boston Common Golf. They've got a weird frog as part of their logo. But it's Rory, Hideki, Keegan Bradley, and Adam Scott. Tigers team is Jupiter Lynx, Tiger, Max Homa, Tom Kim, Kevin Kisner. Oh man, okay, I'll be pulling for this team. LA
and Tom Kim on the same team.
LA Golf Club is Morikawa, Sahith Theegala, Justin Rose, and Tommy Fleetwood. And then the team we're going to be seeing tonight, Matty Fitz, Ricky Fowler, Xander Schauffele, Cameron Young, and only 3 of the 4 players play. So tonight, the guys that are playing for New York are Fitz, Fowler, and Schauffele. And then the Bay Golf Club, Ludwig Oberg, Wyndham Clark, Minwoo Lee, Shane Lowry. I'm not a big Wyndham guy. I love all 3 of these other dudes. And I will be officially making my first TGL wager tonight on the underdogs, the Bay Golf Club at plus 100. New York is minus 133. Wyndham had a great week last week. And again, I have no idea how we can compare what happened in the Century last week, like for guys' form as to how it translates to this. Who knows? To me, it's sort of a toss-up, though. I'm going to take the underdog. And I, as we speak right now, Dusty, have made the historic first wager on TGL at Coolbet.
What a time to be alive. You know what? I am going to.
Let's ride on the Bay.
I'm going to come with you on this and make my first ever wager on TGL as well.
By the way, you'll be proud of me. I am 1-0 betting the NBA this year. I had not made any NBA wagers until the weekend. And because the NFL slate was so blah and there was so much up in the air, I rode with our guy Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and made actually a much larger bet than I would normally make on something like that to beat the world champion Boston Celtics at minus 125. Thunder came through with that big win. I won't retire. There will be basketball bets later on, around the playoffs.
Yeah, of course.
Anyone watching the NBA this year?
I mean, I am. I watch pretty much every single Lakers game as long as I can track them down. I got a couple streaming things I can go hit. I'm not watching the Raptors. I thought it was cute because yesterday, the Raptors finally healthy for the first time. And then, it was going to do something. And I was like, that just means there's more bad players available for the Raptors right now. And they ended up losing. So
it was the first time they'd had Barnes, Barrett, and Quickly in the lineup at the same time all year long, apparently.
There are 2 juggernauts in the NBA this year, though. The Cavs are 31-4, and OKC is 30-5, and they've won 15 in a row, which is a hell of a story. So,
big time. Now, there's no NBA futures out right now, and I guess with games tonight, but we'll have to touch base and find out when those next come up because, and again, I'm not a big NBA fan. I start to pay attention after football season outside of hockey, but I do like to bet some futures, which is just, and then I can kind of follow those teams.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Bill Simmons, is sort of the godfather when it comes to NBA and NBA betting. They were going through the futures odds and exactly what you just said. People are not at all respecting or paying attention to what Cleveland's done this year. I think they went through the favorites or whatever, the list. And I think Cleveland was down around 6th or 7th in double digits. And they were just making the argument that didn't make a lot of sense. I mean, this team is great. They're beating everybody. Why would they not be more of a contender? And you can bet that if that was a New York team or someone else with that record, they would have been all over.
Yeah, if the Knicks were 31-4 right now, it'd be a bit of a different story. So, what's coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk, Huss?
Well, we got a big game tonight. Preds are back in town. Our pal Max Hers is going to jump on. He's back in town. They were here a week and a half ago to start their road trip, and it was quite balmy seasonally. And they knew they were coming back. I'm like, hey, buddy, we'll talk to you in a week. We'll see how things are. Well, it's about minus 20 right now. So welcome back to the Peg.
It's nice here today. We just got through minus 20. It's like plus 1 here today.
What?
Yeah, it's very nice today. Very nice. But it was like minus 20 for the last 7 days.
Yeah, it could be ugly. I think we've got a little bit of a break on Thursday. So yeah, maybe that's just coming over this way. It is going to get a little bit nicer coming up. But anyways, we've got that. Jeff Hamilton's coming on, one of our regulars. We'll talk some Jets. We'll get into a little bit of CFL off season.
Hey, if you could get a schedule released, that would be great. Ask Jeff when the schedule's going to get released.
Don't they usually try to do that by Christmas? And
we looked it up today. It's been like December 17th or earlier for like eight years. So I don't know what's going on with the schedule this year.
That's unfortunate. But all week long, we're going to be talking lots of NFL too. Zig for Cassie, the Zigster coming on today from NFL XM Radio. Feinberg's coming on tomorrow, which is going to be a perfect day because I know he's going to watch this TGL tonight. So we'll find out what he thinks about that. And just by the way, while we finish on golf, can I give a big middle finger to all those live losers online that were telling me over and over again that Tony Finau was ditching the PGA Tour and going to live? Where? What's happened? Nothing. Tony Finau's still on the tour. The live bots might be the worst thing in all of the internet.
And we end the lock shop with that line today. The live bots might be the worst thing in all of the internet. What a statement. All right, that's going to do it for the lock shop today. Thank you very much for joining us. Best of luck tonight, and we will talk to you tomorrow.